We're recording.
We're recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. This a bit closer. Okay.
Do you have enough light?
Yeah. Do. Yulia, can you start us off with the prayers, s'il vous plaît?
Buki Jukshin Meito Tram Rirabling Shi Nyandegin Padi Sange Shindu Mite Uwa Idrokunanda Shinga Chupasho Idam Gurata Mandala Kamiriyatayami Sange
Chudam Suki Choknam La
Tanchu Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Jingen Kipe Sunanki Drola Penchir Sange Drupasho Sange Chudam Soki Choknam La Tanchu Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Jingen Kipe Sunanki Drola Penchir Sange Drupasho Sange Chudam Soki Choknam La Jamju Bardu Dakni Kapsuchi Daki Jinyin Gipe Sunamki Drola Penchir Sange Drupasho.
So let's do a little meditation. Just gotta make sure that screen door is closed. Take a few moments to watch your breath. Today, we can jump right to the nostrils as our object of awareness, of placing the mind there, watching the breath. Seeing if you can detect physical sensations as the breath passes the points of the nostrils. a nice thing to add at this point if you want to get your mind set up for thinking about the emptiness of things, the marriage of karma and emptiness. As you're watching your breath, you can think, well, I'm still alive. I'm alive for another day. My breath continues to pass in and out of my body. Very fragile thing. If this breath happens to be stopped for 3 or 4 minutes, I'll be dead. And just thank your actions of the past that gives you the projection of having a body that's still breathing, a body that can still practice, a body that you can use in this life to remove your obstacles to enlightenment and gather the causes for enlightenment. Here we are with this perfect vessel to reach enlightenment. Kept alive by this very fragile thing, the ability to take in breath. And for a few moments, consider how we think we're in control. Oh yeah, I can inhale. I'm in control of the situation. I can just take a breath. I can inhale. It's up to me. I can do it. It's very powerful to notice those kinds of things so that we can then apply the truth to the matter, which is we're not in control. We're not in control of whether we can take the next breath or not. It's our past karma, our past virtue that is allowing this to happen. And at one point, that karma, that virtue will run out, and your breath will stop. And it might be tomorrow, and it might be 20 years from now, and it might be 50 years from now. How much breath have I wasted? How many inhales and exhales have I wasted on staying awake just for myself alone? We can use the very breath itself as a practice, as a Tonglen practice. And there's part of the verses, part of the 7 verses is a Tonglen practice. And in the Tonglen practice, there's a line that says the 3 objects, the 3 poisons, and the 3 stores of virtue. So in your mind now, visualize yourself in the middle of Vancouver. Let's have some fun and plant ourselves on a bench in the middle of a hallway in Metrotown Mall. Or any mall, if you don't know what Metrotown Mall is. find Metrotown Mall particularly a bustling, confusing place. So picture yourself on a bench in a mall, and people are coming and going, coming and going, coming and going, talking on their cell phones, texting on their cell phones, groups of teenagers passing, not even talking to each other, all texting at the same time. People looking frantic, in a hurry, people looking tired with their bags resting on the floor, mothers trying to calm their kids down as the children are desperate with desire for the things they see in the store windows. Teenage girls looking in the windows, trying to decide if they should buy the $50 dress or the $200 dress. Which one's going to work? Which one's going to work? Teenage boys looking at the jeans. Should I get this $100 pair with this emblem on the back in the pocket that when I walk down the hallway at school, it's going to work. These jeans are going to work. The businessman in tip-top tailor. Which suit's going to get me the job? I got an interview. Which suit's going to get me the job? And in your mind, wanting to take the suffering away from these people, and thinking that these people that you see, they're consumed with the three objects, the three poisons. The three objects are everything that they see in a sense of they see things they like, they see things they don't like, and they see things they're neutral about. Maybe they're neutral about the cashier. Maybe they're not so neutral about the cashier if she's particularly pretty or he's particularly handsome. Maybe they don't like, maybe they're averse to the person behind the cashier if they're not being fast enough. Oh, they're not ringing the person through fast enough in front of me. I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry. Why did they have a rookie on here in the busiest time of the day? What's wrong with these people? All these things going through their mind. And then the three poisons all at the same time. Having ignorant desire. Liking things ignorantly. Oh, this dress is going to work. This dress will bring me what I want. Having ignorant aversion. Oh, there's a long lineup in the store. Well, wait a minute, there's another cashier opening. I'll run there first. I don't care how many people are in the lineup. I'm important. I got things to do. I'll run there in front of everybody and get in there first. That's more an ignorant desire, sorry. Ignorant aversion will be seeing the lineup and then blaming the store for not having enough staff and storming out of the store. I'll be happy when I'm out of this store, out of this place that's caused me this. And then just the plain delusion that misunderstanding where the qualities that we see in objects are coming from, believing that they're in the objects we're looking at. So you contemplate all these people with these three things, the three objects they see and the three poisons they have about the objects they see in their mind. And then you decide, I'll take it. And every one of my inhales, I'll draw in these three objects and these three poisons. And I will destroy it in the diamond light in my heart. And when I exhale, I'll give them the opposite. I'll give them freedom. I'll give them wisdom. So you visualize this shiny, sparkling diamond that glows in your heart, sparkling in the sunlight. Your awareness of how things work. Your awareness of things in life that appear and how we react or how we perceive them are directly caused by karma. And this wisdom will destroy all ignorance, and in so doing, destroy all suffering. Destroy your suffering. So now you're sitting there on this bench. No one knows you're on this secret mission, and every inhale now, you start to inhale, drawing in their suffering, drawing in their delusion, seeing it explode into light, absolutely destroying it. It's very important you see it destroyed. And then you exhale and give them every good thing. Give them what they want. Give them what they need. You could even see the girl who's wondering about the dress. Give her the dress. Exhale her the dress, but with the dress, she also understands that if I look beautiful in this dress, it won't be because of the dress. She understands that if I find this dress beautiful, it's not because of the dress. It's because of my karma. Give them that on your exhale. Taking away the suffering, giving them freedom from suffering. Taking away delusion, giving them wisdom. Inhaling delusion, exhaling wisdom. And then we finish off the meditation by dropping that Tonglen and simply focusing on the diamond glowing at the heart, and visualize that now it's glowing extremely brightly from your selfless thinking. And it glows so bright, the light fills your body, bursts out, rays like laser light out of your body, strikes every living being in all directions. Everyone becomes a Buddha. Everyone reaches the final goal. And then you rejoice in their Buddhahood. All right, we're all done. And then let the light withdraw back into your heart. And when you're ready, you can gently return to the room, opening your eyes. So that's a very useful way to be in Notre Dame Mall. And the beauty about that is you don't have to be sitting on the bench. I mean, you may have something you need to get at Metrotown Mall. Just do that as you're going. And see, that's such a beautiful practice because it doesn't stop when it stops, right?
Nope.
Yeah, okay. It started doing this thing. It used to just go black, but now it goes black and goes, John's MacBook Air. It moves around. John's MacBook Air.
Somebody put a screensaver
As
on.
long as that green light is on, then you're good.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure the sound is working properly.
Oh.
It's not going really high.
Hello, 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 hello.
That's better. Yeah.
Hello, 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 hello.
Yeah, it's
Hello,
better.
hello.
if
It's still
it's-
working now.
But
No.
it's really the volume. Oh, you know,
Oh, you
the volume's
adjusted it.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, it's working. Yeah, it's working. So yeah, and the beautiful thing about the power of that meditation is the whole time you're keeping your mind on the causes of things. You're keeping your mind on what real refuge is, which is karma and emptiness. You know, and you're using your time. Your every thought, every movement of mind is karma. So you're continuously planting. You know, and if you're, you know, what if you're in a metro town? Most of the time, I think when we go to metro town, or a mall like that, we're usually shopping for somebody else. You know, maybe. But even if you're shopping for yourself, you can still be doing that and be thinking that whatever it is I'm shopping for myself, it's for my practice. It's so that I look beautiful, for others to enjoy. You know, so that people will, you know, want to hear me teach or whatever it is, or whatever piece of equipment you need to buy or whatever it is you need to buy. It's like, you know, you get in this mindset so that everything is serving your trip to enlightenment. And then you can get on that high, because it's a high to feel like you've got purpose. I was talking yesterday in class about, you know, the question in class was like, Ranjit was there. How do you know when you have reached true renunciation, right? When 24/7 you want to reach this goal and everything serves that goal. And I use the example, sort of boring you, Ranjit, with using an example twice in a row, but I use the example of, you know, from the time I was about, I guess, 17 to the age of about maybe 29, I was seriously bent on becoming a rock star. And my whole life served that. You know, when I went to the store, it was to buy an instrument. It was to buy guitar strings, you know, and everything fed that. My job, my job was crap jobs, just to give me the ability to play music, to give me the ability to make my payments for the stuff I was buying at Long McQuaid. I was, you know, all my free time was spent practicing, writing songs, getting gigs, putting together demo tapes, trying to make something of myself, you know, constantly. And everything else was lower on my, I mean, even my girlfriends, I'm sorry to say, I did not give them my full attention. It was the music was always first, you know. And that was just, for me, Doug puts it nicely, it had gravitational mass. It had a force to it, and my whole life served that. And I didn't care what anyone thought about it. I didn't care what my dad thought about, you know, me being on unemployment insurance and just playing my ass off. I didn't care what he thought about my earring, because you have to have an earring if you're going to be a rock star. I didn't care about what he thought about my ripped jeans, because you have to have ripped jeans if you're a rock star. Everything served that. The clothes I was wearing, the hair I had. Right? So, you know, and that is all desire. So, you know, how do you take that kind of thing and turn it into your practice? Right? How do you take that type of movement of mind and turn it into, I'm going to become a Buddha now. You know, okay, I guess rockstar didn't work out. Maybe I can become a Buddha. I think it's a step up on the ladder a little bit. And then you take, and you just, and then it's like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care. My job serves it. My job serves it. My day serves it. My rest serves it. My clothes serve it. The food I eat serve it. I will not have a job where my boss says to me, no, you cannot take 30 days off for your labrum. I would never take that job. if I'm working and my lamas say, Johnny, can you come to Gabriola for 2 weeks in 1 month? And I go to my boss and I say, I need this time off. He says, no, sorry. You say, well, sorry. I'm going. I guess just that's the way it's been. It hit a certain point, and that's the way it's been. And that's why I'm sitting here right now. That's why I cleaned up this room yesterday. I finally had like a day off. I made this room nicer. So you can do that by keeping your book. You can do that by using your breath, by Tonglen. Especially productive if you understand the emptiness of the things that you're trying to alleviate the suffering from, because you don't really know they're suffering. If they appear to be suffering, that's your fault. That's your perception. When I was doing this practice a lot, this Tonglen, I lit it up with this Tonglen thing when I first learned it. Everywhere I went. And there's a mantra that goes with it that, I don't know, if anyone's interested, I could teach the course. There's a whole Tonglen course which I could teach, or we could offer at some point if anyone's interested. But I still remember this very strongly. There was one time, I had no problem, with it. I understood why I would do it, and I was excited about it. But there was one time where I had a very hard time and almost didn't do it. And I was landscaping, I had a landscaping job. And in the back alley where I was working, it was close to Commercial Street. I remember still. There was a young man. He looked like he was about 21 or so. And he looked to me like he was completely strung out on crack or something, heroin or something. And he had these 2 girls with him. And they were just like walking around, and they kept saying like, when's the guy going to be here, man? When's he going to get here, man? And the girls were like, you said he would be here, you said he'd be here. And I was looking over there, and they just looked like I would never want to be. They really looked like, and I think it was because I found it particularly vile inside me, because they were so young. And it was like, well, it seemed to me like they would have had a choice or something, Something about it I couldn't handle. And I was trying to Tonglen them. And when I got it close, it's like, I didn't want it. Right? And guess, when I tell you that story, what step do you think I was missing there? What would prevent me? What would make me stop? What would I be forgetting? Yeah. Suddenly it's like they were really like that. Suddenly, like, as Doug puts it, which is so hilarious, I had it all figured out. Right? I had it all figured out. I knew exactly who they were, who I was, I was this guy with, I got my stuff together. I'm working for a living, planting things into the ground. Oh, I'm so much better than you are. And I certainly don't want to be like you. Right? I don't know who they were. They could easily have been like, I could have blown it right there. That could have been my trip to Buddhahood right there. I could have failed the ultimate. I could have been 2 dakinis and 1 daka. All right, let's give John the chance of a lifetime. Boom, they just appear there. And let's just, because we know this is going to be hard for him. We know, right? And they just start doing all this stuff, and then I just failed the test, right? But I didn't fail in the sense that I did finally inhale it, but I think it was like swallowing Buckley's, you know. It was like swallowing like cough medicine I didn't want to swallow, because I in that moment I just forgot where my mind should be. So it was an incomplete practice. Tonglen's a beautiful, complete practice. It's a beautiful practice. So I just wanted to give you that meditation just in that way. And I wanted to start it off with that contemplation of where does breath come from? We take so much for granted, right? Where does breath come from? Where does the ability to breathe come from? Yeah, and that every time that you consider those kinds of things, you are lining yourself up. That's refuge right there. You're lining yourself up. You're putting yourself into position to see ultimate reality in a direct way. Every time you think like, yeah, where is this breath coming from anyways? I think I'm just going to inhale and it's going to happen. Okay, so here we are. We're in the middle of class 4. We talked a lot about last time about the Lojong, the 7 Lojong and 7 verses that were, according to Blanca Rinpoche, the most profound ones, the most profound Lojong. And if you remember, just a quick review, there was the 7 steps. And we actually we only get through the first 3 steps in class 4, and in class 5 we go into 4, 5, 6, and 7. Because the first 3, there's 1, instructions on the foundation dharma preliminaries, and then number 2 is the main practice of developing the wish for enlightenment, and number 3 is transforming problems into the path of enlightenment. And inside of each one of these lines, there's verses that are within that verse, and so we'll talk a little bit about that, like just so that you get some kind of sense of what's going on, because it's a little confusing. It is a little confusing because part 1. Instructions on the foundation dharma, the preliminary practices. Part 1 is first training yourself first in the preliminaries. And if you remember before, there was 3 parts to that. Remember, which was thinking about your leisure and fortune, thinking about death awareness, and thinking about the problems of the suffering life. And that was the preliminaries, training yourself in the preliminaries. That was part 1. And then part 2, the second line, is the actual practice for developing the wish for enlightenment. So, interestingly enough now, they're calling this next part 2 ways to develop the wish for enlightenment. So all these next verses are meant to develop the wish for enlightenment. And there's a preliminary, there's a preparatory practice for it, and there's an actual practice part for it, and there's a conclusion part for it, which is very typical Gelugpa. And the first part of that, the first part of the second verse, which is the actual practice, is doing the preliminaries that you're used to doing, where you sit down and you go through the 7-limb prayer, and then you do like your perfect 10 before you start the actual meditation. So, and then the second step of part 2 is when you've done your, this is meant to be a meditation. This is meant to be a meditation, but really, it's an all-day practice. You'll see what it's an all-day practice, and it's an all-day awareness. So you could take this. You could take these lines. You could write these lines in front of you on your altar, and you could contemplate them. That could be your meditation for sure. You could sit down, do your preliminaries, your official 7-limb prayer preliminaries, which would be the preparatory step of part 2. And then going into the actual practice, which would mean you would contemplate these things we're about to go over. We've already gone over one of them. Learn to see all things as a dream, which is basically learning to recognize what is the illusion. And if you remember, I think we had a very powerful ending to the last class, which is we talked about what is the illusion. And so someone here can tell me what is the illusion. And this is very important because, people, even in ACI, they're in ACI, they've been in ACI for years, and they still have this weird idea about what the illusion is. Oh, life's illusory. It's all illusory. But so someone here tell me, what is illusory? Why are all things as a dream? I know you know. Yes, Julia.
Nobody wants to talk. Well, I think the most concise way to put it is things are not what they seem to be.
Yeah, but that's pretty vague. Like because that's pretty much like saying things are an illusion. Because that is the meaning of illusion. The meaning of illusion. So you basically just gave me a definition of illusion.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to explain that to me,
or you want the long story,
or it doesn't have to be that long, but it can be, like what is the illusion? What isn't what it seems to be? What do you mean, Julia? Right? You're in a Starbucks and you're like,
mm-hmm.
Relax, man. Things aren't as like. What do you mean, Julia?
Yeah, I just had this conversation.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, we have this class today because in the past, somehow, somewhere, we all taught somebody something that was very important for them.
Okay.
And so time goes by, and as a result of what we did, as a result of that action, we have this class tonight that will help us to get somewhere to
Okay.
get what we need.
Okay. And that's the illusion?
That's the real nature of things.
That's the real nature of things. Okay, what the heck's the illusion then?
The illusion is thinking that we have this class because we all came tonight and John is willing to teach. I mean, partially it is true.
No, you're on.
That's how it's appearing.
Yeah, you're on the right track. Yeah.
That's how it's appearing, but also there is a different. I wasn't ready to give you the whole.
No. You just said it. You just said it. You were
Yeah.
thinking that you made it to class because there was gasoline in your car, right? Thinking that it's an illusion. The illusion is thinking that this class happened because we put it on the schedule, and it's coming up next on the ACI and put on the schedule, and you got here because you could have some time off tonight and you weren't busy, and you got down, you put some gas in the car and you got here, and those are what. That's the illusion, thinking that that's actually how it happened. That's actually how you got here. That's illusory. That's the illusion. That's the dream. Right?
Yeah.
You're not looking like, yeah.
No, I was just thinking, how do I do it in a shorter way? I usually say apples come from apple tree and bananas come from banana tree.
Yeah, but I mean, that still doesn't explain the illusion. I mean, the illusion would be, the illusion would be, well, one of the greatest illusions of all time is work is why I got money. It might be how the karma came, but it sure isn't why. It sure isn't like, the reason why I could have a Snickers bar is because I had $2, and that's how I got that Snickers bar. I got that Snickers bar by choosing to, and walking to the store. And that's how you get Snickers bars, is by simply deciding, looking in your wallet, going, yeah, I got enough cash for one of those bad boys, going down there and taking one off the shelf and walking home so happy. Right? And not once thinking, well, if I have the karma, there will be one on the shelf. That would be like living a total illusion. You happy yet? You don't look so happy with this.
I just think that we need both.
What do you mean we need both?
We need $2 and the karma, because that's the level we are at.
Whoa. Where did $2 come from?
No, but I mean,
no, it's real. It functions.
Confusing, right?
Well, hopefully that you wouldn't throw that, you wouldn't hit somebody with the head with that at Starbucks before you gave them the whole explanation of the laws of karma, right? I mean, right? I mean, you can't. We're going to learn all about this in ACI 13. You can't debate someone on the nature of reality until you have common ground. Until you have to make them buy the idea of things are caused. The causes of the appearances is karma. You have to have them buy that before you can then say anything that we believe is happening outside of that mechanism is an illusion. So, yeah, we do need both. It's not going to be much use for me to pray for a Snickers bar and think, well, do I have the karma or don't I have the karma? Let's find out. I want one now. Oh, I guess I don't. Damn. Right? No. So this is the beautiful thing about ACI 13. You learn very quickly how to find common ground, and you're talking to somebody. I've seen it so many times. You're talking to somebody. I've listened to conversations like this where they just end up like in a stratosphere of opinions, and there's no traction because someone hasn't made sure that they agree on one thing first before they then take off to some lofty idea about, God and apples and oranges, right? It's like, anyway. So that was learning to see all things as a dream. And now we're moving on to examine the nature of the mind unborn. Examine the nature of the mind unborn. And that's the second line of the verse inside the second step of the actual practice of part 2. Yeah. Examine the nature of the mind unborn. This is talking about the nature of your mind. So whenever they say unborn, what do you suppose they're talking about when they say unborn? Nice face.
It's
yeah. Pardon?
impure.
No, not impure. If it's unborn, what would it mean? The nature of the mind, examine the nature of the mind unborn. This is why we need a commentary. If you throw this at somebody and go, I'm doing this cool practice, you should join me. Examine the nature of the mind unborn.
Is the nature of the mind and unborn redundant?
Redundant?
Like repeating itself?
Well, that depends who's talking. It depends who's listening, and it depends what you're thinking that you're saying. The nature of the mind. Examine the nature of the mind unborn. What does unborn mean?
Empty.
Empty. Yeah, it is empty. The nature of the mind is just as empty as the body, just as empty as anything else, as a garbage bag.
I hate it when you say garbage bag.
Why?
I don't know why.
What have you done? What have you done to people, Sarah, that makes you hate that
The garbage
bag so?
I don't know.
Let's purify it. Garbage bag, garbage bag, garbage bag. Hold the line, Sarah. Garbage bag, garbage bag. Yeah. The nature. You know why I use that expression?
Because it bugs me?
Of course.
Yeah, I don't need to try. It's a spontaneous thing. I just can bug you without even trying. No, because there was a very famous Lama who said the Buddha nature. You're talking about Buddha nature. The nature, the emptiness of the Buddha is the exact same emptiness of a garbage bag. And everybody goes, what? Especially you. Right? Yeah. So the nature of your mind. So what does that mean? Right? That means that however you feel. Right? Are you anxious? Do you have low self-esteem?
Oh.
Do you feel like aversion whenever you hear someone say garbage bag? It's a mental thing, right? Does it seem like nobody loves you?
It's feeling.
It's mental. It's a mind. It's a mental thing, right? Anything mental. So it would be like examining the mind as being unborn is another way of saying if you are feeling depressed, it's all that, or if you're feeling depressed or you're feeling angry, or they all stem from the same thing: not taking care of somebody. And your mind is not self-existently depressed. It's empty. And so it can feel depression, born, right? The depression caused by not taking care of somebody, not giving people what they need, not thinking of others, thinking of yourself alone. So then the next line is, the antidote itself is gone to is. Try to explain that to somebody.
Yeah, so
The antidote itself is gone to is.
Are we all of a sudden in The Lord of the Rings?
We could be. The Lord of the Rings is very, it's very cool the way the whole thing comes down to, one thing, this ring, right? This ring has all the power, right? It's like, this ring has all the power, and then finally someone comes up and the very, cuts the ring off the finger of the demon, right? And just like, it's like cuts ignorance, right? I mean, it's like cuts ignorance at the root, and then the entire orc army just like, they're powerless. It's like, that's your mind. The entire orc army is your mental afflictions, and powered by the demon who holds the ring of ignorance, right? And then and one day you'll be like, oh, and then boom, you'll take the finger off the orc, and you won't have the army will just be crushed by your wisdom. The antidote itself is gone to is.
Is gone
At
to
bag
is.
end.
Is gone to is.
Gone to is.
Is gone to is.
The is another way of saying what? It's gone to is. Gone to is. It's empty.
That's
Even
true.
the antidote is
Itself
empty.
Hmm.
Because what is the antidote? The antidote itself. What is the antidote to suffering?
Meditate.
You're just nodding at this point.
No, because Marissa said wisdom. And I said,
Oh yeah.
I didn't know
Wisdom.
that.
Meditating on emptiness.
Yeah, wisdom. So at some point in your spiritual career, you're going to have to grapple with the fact that even wisdom is empty.
Haha.
Now I'm in deep trouble.
So,
Even
no, you're saying I get wisdom because I taught somebody.
Yep,
That's
that's it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wisdom, if you're experiencing wisdom that understands where things are coming from, that is also a projection born of your past deeds.
Mhm.
Couldn't happen any other way. It's awesome to feel like that. It's awesome to finally know what the heck's going on around here. It didn't happen by accident. You were very kind. Understanding emptiness is itself a projection. So this is like, who can tell me what the 5 paths are? Sarah.
Accumulation.
Yeah.
Preparation.
Yep.
Seeing.
Yep.
Habituation.
Yep.
No more learning.
No more learning. Yeah, nice. Accumulation, preparation, seeing, habituation, and no more learning. This is this is the path of preparation right now. You're gaining an intellectual understanding of emptiness. Like this is everything that, make no mistake, people, you are on the path of preparation. If you have not seen emptiness directly, and you're just pretending so that I can get some merit, you are on the path of preparation. You're preparing to meet Big Eddie face to face.
Big Eddie.
Big Eddie. Big Ed. ED. Emptiness directly. And then, we're still in the second verse of the 7. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's let it go in the essence, source of all things. Let it go in the essence, source of all
So
things.
this is the 4th verse. Let it go.
Let it go in the essence, the source of all things. So this is, where are we? This is the 4th line of part 2 of the actual practice for developing the wish. Let it go in the essence, the source of all things. Very vague and very dangerous. And let it go let it go means 2 things. One of the things it means is let the problems of meditations go. In other words, get rid of the problems of meditation. Tackle your dullness and your agitation. Overcome the obstacles to perfect meditation. That's what that means. It's like instructing you, well, here's what else you need to do. If you want to see emptiness directly, then you must let it go in the essence. because you have to have very, very good concentration and a heck of a lot of virtue to be able to shoot through that door. The other meaning of let it go is if you do that, if you manage to let go of the obstacles to meditation and you do everything else that it's been prescribing, thinking about the emptiness of your body and your mind, then you can let go of the perception of things being self-existent. Which means you'll move into the direct perception of emptiness. We just hit path number 3. We went from path number 4 to path number 3 in one section of the verse, the actual practice. So that was the actual practice, those 4 lines. The bottom one being, let it go in the essence, the source of all things. So now we go into the conclusion of number 2, which is, in between sessions, be a figment of the imagination. So some of you have done daylight, you'll know what this means. In between sessions, be a figment of the imagination. So what does that mean? You get up off your cushion and you start flitting around thinking, oh, I'm just an imaginary creature, I can do whatever I want to.
Yes.
Sounds like it.
Of your imagination? Be a figment
Of
of
the
your
imagination.
the imagination.
In between sessions, be a figment of the imagination. Okay, maybe someone wants to take a guess. We've just hit path number 3. We've just saw emptiness directly because we let go. We let it go in the essence, the source of all things. We've seen emptiness directly. And now he's saying, in between sessions, be a figment of the imagination. And what do you suppose they're going to talk about now, after you've seen emptiness directly? What happens after you see emptiness directly?
You see your Buddhahood, you see your future Buddhahood.
Yeah, and all those things that you're talking about, what else happens?
You can see everyone's suffering, like you can read their minds.
Yeah, for a while, yeah.
And,
Very intensely, right after you see it, you can read minds.
And you know how many lifetimes you have?
Yeah. And there's those are all awesome. And then there's a couple real classic things that happen. But what's that period of time called?
J-Top something.
Yes, J-Top.
Yeshe.
Yeshe, J-Top Yeshe. Yeah. Do you guys know how to do like the loon call?
Used to.
I was 13 when I did it.
Well, you see, you're supposed to cup your hands.
There we
That
go.
was good.
Yeah.
There
Well,
you
you're
go.
blowing. I know that you're blowing in it like a Coke bottle, or like you're blowing it. You're supposed to.
There you go.
Wow.
This is better for me. If you
Really?
Raise your fingers, yeah. Mm-hmm. Where are you blowing? In here. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
Kindergarten.
You have to go. You have to do that.
So why are you doing that?
What?
Because my Lama, my Lama Roger, he does this like all the time, and it's like this thing between me and him. It's this special thing between me and him, and he's been trying to teach me how to do that, and it's like, you know, That's all he's asked me to do in my life is figure out how to do the loon call. Can I just do this one thing for my Lama? And it's so weird. Sometimes I can get my hands and go, see? I can't do it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have this thing on my phone. Every day at 4 o'clock I try it. And sometimes I can, and sometimes I can't. And but my loon call practice degenerated for a while, and I was so busy I never did it. And then sure as heck, we were at the HYP retreat, and then Lama Roger got into one of his funny moods, and he is quite funny, let me tell you. And he just decided to do this loon call. And he says, can we do the loon call? And he said, me and Johnny will show you. We'll do it together. And I couldn't do it. I was like, oh. And then later on, he says, what happened to your loon call? It was like, and I was like,
Oh.
my practice degenerated.
Oh no.
Yeah, my practice of the loon call degenerated, right?
Mhm.
So that's why I just did it there. I thought maybe if I do it in the middle of a Lojong class, maybe next time I won't disappoint my Lama by not being able to do the loon call. So please, have me in your prayers. Apparently, there's some profound meaning to it that I'm going to discover one day. Okay. So, in between sessions, be a figment of the imagination. So that means that this is talking about what Sarah was saying, the period of time of subsequent wisdom. So this is the ultimate illusion, according to Tibetan Buddhism, is this period of time when you understand the period of time in your life. Okay, we just hit path 3. We saw emptiness directly. We've come down, and when you come down from that experience, you have like the direct perception of the 4 Arya truths. You see, we talk about the 4 Arya truths a lot in class. What are the 4 Arya truths?
Life is suffering.
Yeah, all life is suffering.
There's a cause.
There's a cause to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cessation. There's an end to it. And there's a cause. There's a cause to the end, right? And we sit and talk about it in class, and we go, okay, well, I guess that's true. And you think about it, yeah, okay. And we go over and over proofs, why the Buddha was correct. Why is it that all life is suffering? Well, anything we get, we like is taken away from us. Even if it's good, we lose it. Like you go over all these things, and you're like, well, I guess it's true. But when you come down from seeing it directly, you have a direct perception of the 4 Arya truths. You see it like, wow, okay, the 4 Arya truths are true, and you no longer have any doubt about the 4 Arya truths. You know that all life is suffering. All life in the desire realm is suffering. You know that there's an end to it because you see it. You see yourself ending it. You know there's a cause to it because you've seen the cause. You understand, because what happens when you see emptiness directly and you come back down, you have the direct perception, you have the direct knowing that you haven't had a correct thought in your whole life. You directly perceive, without a shadow of a doubt, that you haven't thought correctly about one single thing. You have a direct perception, you have a direct knowing that you haven't had one moment in your life that wasn't selfish. And you have compassion for yourself because you understand that there's a cause, because you were ignorant, because you believed in things having self-nature and you couldn't help it. you couldn't help but be selfish because that's just the nature of being in the desire realm when your mind is deluded. And you see that it will end, and you see the cause for the end. And that just changes everything, right? And you know that you've been wrong, and you lose all doubt in the Buddhist path. You know that the scriptures are true. You see that the very most you have in lifetimes left is 7, which at that point you understand is like a blink of an eye. It's like everything's good. You just hit this point where you understand that, oh my God, I've done it. I've reached it. I've reached the point where I can say for certain, and no one can tell me otherwise, that I will become a Buddha. And you know that. And then, so you lose the belief in things being self-existent. You no longer believe it, but things reappear. Because when you come back down, reality reasserts itself because you're gone. When it reasserts itself, and they appear to be self-existent, but you don't believe it anymore. And there's a power in knowing that you're wrong about something. It's very powerful to know that you're wrong about something, because we can, if we don't know we're wrong, we don't do anything about it. Right? If we don't know that feeling good comes from taking care of people, then we'll just keep on trying to feel good other ways. So it's very powerful to know when you don't know something. When you know that you're wrong about something. So in between sessions, be a figment of the imagination. They're talking about that path of habituation when you're going through your life and you're seeing the world that way. So you're using that knowledge. You're using that knowledge that you gained to overcome the tendency permanently to even see things as being self-existent. And then you're in line for Buddhahood at that point. Then you have a self, you're aware, and it's all arising from your mind. Everything's good. You know that things are appearing that way. So that's a figment of the imagination, the ultimate figment of the imagination. You're walking through life and knowing that everything is a figment of imagination. And then you're using that awareness and then, still on section 2, practice giving and taking alternately. Let the two ride on the wind. Practice giving and taking alternately. Let the two ride on the wind. So what do you suppose that's talking about?
Let the two ride on the wind?
Yeah, practice giving and taking. Let the two ride on the wind.
Practice giving and taking.
Yeah, Tonglen.
Ultimately.
Yeah, Tonglen.
Two ride on the wind. Like
Yeah.
your breath.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Let the two ride in the wind. The suffering and the giving. You're taking the suffering and you're giving the freedom.
What does ultimately mean?
Ultimately? Alternately.
Alternately.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, practice giving and taking alternately. Let the two ride in the wind. I guess that sounded ultimately. And the reason why, one of the reasons why I took you through the meditation in the beginning is he doesn't teach it in this class. It's too in depth and it's too much detail, and it's, so that was an example of Tonglen. And most of you, probably all of you know what Tonglen is. Yeah, you guys all know what Tonglen is. And I thought that I could inject this next line in the meditation: 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 stores of virtue, which we didn't talk about the 3 stores of virtue in the meditation. But if you remember from the meditation, what were the 3 objects?
Liking, disliking.
Yeah, the 3 ways that we see things. The 3 ways. We like it, we don't like it, or we don't feel any other way about it, right? And that's always happening. Like if you're driving, say, and you're parked, and there's a crosswalk, and there's 10 people going across, there's like the mind is just naturally, there's a few in there that you don't, give one way or the other about, and there'll be someone that stands out to you like, oh, that's nice, and then there'll be someone else that's like, ugh. The mind is, and if you're not an Arya, you'll think it's all out there. You'll think those qualities are all out there. Oh yeah, there's a beautiful person, for reals. Oh, there's an ugly person, for real. Oh, wouldn't or oh my God, I wouldn't want to be in a dark alley with that person. They'd probably mug me, right? There's a rich person, yeah.
I just wanted to, it seems a little bit of an oversimplification because we don't, I don't know, to me at least, because we don't really like everything to the same degree, because there are shades of that, right?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a broad,
yeah.
But you could break it down to there's liking and there's not liking and there's neutral, and there's, a whole scale of liking and a whole scale of not liking, but at some point the scale would tip between liking and not liking, and then there's neutral, right? Like, yeah. Three objects, 3 poisons. So the 3 poisons, we all know what that is. Someone tell me. What are the 3 poisons? Tarnji.
Okay. Anger.
Well, that's definitely one of the kind of poison. The three main poisons we're always talking about is
Aversion.
Yeah, ignorant aversion.
Okay.
And
Okay, ignorant. Liking is not disliking.
yeah, and then
And
Big Daddy.
something.
What's that? The one that makes
Ignorance.
ignorance.
Okay.
So you can think that ignorance makes both of those things possible, right? Because without delusion, you couldn't have ignorant liking and you couldn't have ignorant desire.
How's that different from what the 3 objects are?
Well, the 3 objects are just, like the 3 objects are something that you see out there. The 3 poisons are within us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in there, it says, practice throughout the day in words. The order of taking is to start with yourself. So here's the whole line. 3 objects, 3 poisons, 3 stores of virtue. Practice throughout the day in words. The order of taking is to start with yourself. So practice throughout the day in words is the mantra I was talking about. So, if we did a Tonglen course, you'd get a mantra that would be a Tonglen mantra, and then you just all through the day, there's a practice that these Kanappas would do, and they would, in their mind, this mantra would be going, and they'd be like taking in the suffering and giving away the wisdom, taking it all day on the breath with this mantra. That's what that means. And the order of taking is to start with yourself means the classic thing is you take care of yourself first. So if you're going to do like a Tonglen practice, then in the morning you would sit there and you would Tonglen yourself first, and then you would Tonglen everybody else. There's a practice. Like if I would have known about Tonglen when I was doing in commercial concrete, for instance, like I would have Tonglened myself later in the day. I would sit there in meditation cushion picture myself later in the day getting yelled at by an angry foreman and just like taking the suffering away from myself. Or one particular suffering that I had when I was in concrete was I would walk on the job, and we did massive jobs. Sometimes they were 40,000 square feet. Okay, 40. So you walk on the job, and all I see is a freaking sea of rebar on a floor, and concrete trucks lined up, and a pump, and you're just like, okay, I guess I'll be here for about 12 hours doing the same thing. As we throw concrete around, and you're standing on rebar, metal pipe, metal bar, trying to balance on these things with your rubber boots, and you can't see it because it's covered in concrete, and you're walking backwards all day long, slinging concrete around. Okay, 40,000 feet is a big piece of space, right? And at about the middle of the day, we've done 20,000 square feet. I look behind me, and I'm like, oh my God, we're only halfway. And it's like 3 o'clock. We started at 8. That if I would have known about Tonglen then, I would have like Tonglen myself right at that moment of despair. So
This is never gonna end.
you can Tonglen yourself, like you have an appointment to go meet somebody, right?
Cool.
And then you see yourself there, and you Tonglen yourself in that situation, and you take and then because you Tonglen the suffering way, and you also don't forget you're also exhaling wisdom into yourself in that moment too. So you can so then later in the day you happen to be there, and maybe you've forgotten about the Tonglen. All of a sudden there's this thing in your mind, you remember, oh yeah, I'll Tonglen myself. I'm good to go here. And you remember the emptiness of the situation too, and you feel like you're like, okay, I got my Tonglen suit on. Yeah. So
What does that Tonglen suit look like?
garbage bag.
It's
That's the question.
Yeah.
So I did try doing Tonglen when I walk and shop. It seems like and feels like multitasking. It's difficult. I don't know if it's the best thing to do.
Well, it depends on if it's scrambling your mind, then maybe you wouldn't do that. It would be like when it's second nature, right? So you would do it. If you're using the mantra or whatever, using your breath, you would do it in a way that was just, it was on your mind, and you had that, like bodhicitta. Like there's a certain point where you have bodhicitta and you don't have to think about it anymore, There's a certain point you reach when you're, I don't know how old you are, when you learn to tie your shoes, right? You get taught to tie. There's a certain point where you don't have to look at your shoelaces anymore. You go, right? So at that, when you reach that point, it would be easier. But at first, it would be like maybe a mental struggle, and maybe like multitasking, and maybe not so efficient, especially if you had something really important that needed your focus. But if you're just, it can be, you could decide that that's your main focus. Maybe you sit down, you're in the mall and you sit down for a second and you do it, which is okay. And then you keep going, or what have you. But that's a good point. You wouldn't want to do it if it was going to get you into a car accident. And you wouldn't be, if you wouldn't want to be doing it if you were talking to somebody. You're like, hi Chanjeev.
People feel it.
Right? You gotta, you gotta yeah. So the three stores of virtue. Right. That's like you by doing your Tonglen and by inhaling the negative three objects, or the three, inhaling the three objects, and inhaling the three poisons, and exhaling the freedom from suffering, exhaling wisdom, then you get the three stores of virtue. You get the causes to have the three stores of virtue, which is pretty much the opposite of how they suffer. So in other words, these three stores of virtue would be whatever you saw in your life, be it something, because it's not like, neutral and positive negative is ever going to go away, right? A totally enlightened being does not like to see you suffer. A totally enlightened being, I mean, a totally enlightened being doesn't want to go to hell realm. Like, that's there. They're not going to go to it, but they still wouldn't like it. A totally enlightened being still, likes his or her, or its, you have to say it, I think, still likes her or his mind. They like their mind. They like to see people do virtue. They like to see people cultivate bodhicitta, right? So you get the three stores of virtue, whatever appears to you, plus neutral or negative, you would understand where these things were coming from, which is very different than thinking otherwise. It's a real game changer when you understand where things are coming from. And then, of course, you'd have the opposite of ignorance, ignorant desire, and ignorant aversion. You'd have wisdom desire, wisdom aversion, right? You know what, because what is the important aspect of the Buddha's omniscience? Knows what to take up and knows what to put down. Translate that into wise desire and wise aversion. They know what to pick up, they know what to put down. And no ignorance. They don't have any ignorance. They're void of ignorance. They're void of delusion. So, that's what you get. That's your prize.
That's a question. You said
Yes.
inhale three objects and three poisons, and exhale, and you said something. I missed it.
Oh, I've been using a variety of words for that. But it would be like exhale freedom from suffering, exhale wisdom. You can exhale all kinds of things. You can exhale a bowl of oatmeal if you want. You can exhale. You can.
Through your nose.
You can. You can. You can exhale seeing people get what they need. It could get pretty boring if it was always just exhaling the same thing.
Okay, so you can give them the material things that
Yeah.
you said earlier about the dress that the girl wanted.
Yeah.
But what's going to give them
The wisdom.
it's the wisdom.
Yeah.
What's the take home?
Pardon?
It's the wisdom.
Oh yeah.
What's the piece you want them to really have?
Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Oh yeah. Because wisdom defeats all ignorance. Wisdom defeats all suffering.
Wisdom is the emptiness. What do you mean by freedom? Because that's another word that's loosely used.
Well, say freedom from suffering.
Okay.
Because you could associate freedom with lots of things. In my mind, whenever I think because a lot of people have an idea of freedom that's not really freedom.
Mm-hmm.
You think they got freedom if they have a day off work or something. That's definitely not freedom. Vacation, yeah.
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm free.
If you work all year round, 2 weeks of paradise.
Yeah, but you're not really free.
I know, but it feels like
It's nice. But it's not nirvana. Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with taking 2 weeks off work. I don't know how many times, you take time off work and then it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, it ends up being the worst 2 weeks you've ever had. Or
you're
I've
like,
been sick
God,
before.
Thank God work is happening again.
I took a week off and then I ended up with a sinus infection. So I ended up using vacation time when I was sick.
Yeah. What a bunch of bullcrap that was.
It was, I couldn't get off the couch.
Yeah. Now there's a good reason to complain.
Yeah.
Don't we just love those good reasons to complain?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm getting Tarjeet's profile. It's not often I see Tarjeet from the side.
It's empty.
It's empty. Oh, Tarjeet, it's a beautiful profile.
Thank you. Yeah, it's in the eye of the beholder.
It is. All right. We finally graduated from the second one, and we're moving on to the third one, which is learning to use problems of 7. Learning to use problems as a path to enlightenment.
Oh yeah, the skateboard.
So the first one, the blame all belongs to only one person. I don't think that needs an explanation. No one here is going to argue with me, are they?
It's my sister's fault.
It's my sister's fault. And that's what you, as a teacher, that's, you just get good at doing that. As a teacher, that's your job, as to constantly bring it around. No matter what is getting asked of you, the blame all belongs to one person. You keep bringing them back to that, because otherwise you're not doing your job as a teacher. You're not serving them. You're not dishing them out a plate of real freedom. Right? You're not doing that. You would be failing them in that moment. Because they can get advice, they can get life coaching anywhere. Here's one that's a little more harder to understand. See the deception as being the 4 bodies, and emptiness as the matchless protector. See the deception as being the 4 bodies, and emptiness as the matchless protector. I love that line. Jason Kappa quotes that line in many of his scriptures, and he says, "Emptiness is my matchless protector." I have said that mantra in my head so many times. I've used that mantra in retreat so many times. Emptiness is my matchless protector, because it does protect you from everything. Not only does it protect you from blaming anyone else for any situation that's arising in your mind or otherwise, it also sends you into Buddhahood. So it's your ultimate protector. It's your matchless protector. There's nothing that can protect you like your understanding of emptiness. Like people can pray to pictures of the Buddha and do many, many prostrations in front of the Buddha, and that statue cannot help them. The only thing that can help them is their understanding of where it is that things are coming from. The understanding that life isn't happening to me. I'm happening to it. Life is not happening to me. I'm happening to it.
Are you Are we asked to do prostrations and other things just so that at some point something will click? Is that the point of it? Like you
Oh,
you
yeah.
go through the words.
Yeah. You're planting virtue.
Okay.
Every time you do a prostration, you're planting virtue. Yeah. And it's like whatever's on your mind is going to dictate the power of that prostration. Because it's not the movement of the body for sure. Because I've done them. I've done crappy prostrations. I've done prostrations where like, well, I better just do this. And then I've done prostrations where I really meant it. And they feel very differently. They feel very different. It's beautiful to do prostrations. And this is another thing, actually. After you see emptiness, when you come down from seeing emptiness directly, you finally understand the power of the prostration, and you understand why it's important. And then every time you do a prostration after that, it's a whole different ballgame. Because, you can, I'll tell you, a way to do a nice emptiness meditation as you're prostrating. This is really awesome. This is a really awesome thing. So, let's say you have a picture of your Lama or the Buddha in front of you, and you decided that's a representation of my Lama, and my Lama is a representation of the Buddha. My Lama is the Buddha, because how else could the Buddha communicate with me? It's got to be through someone who looks like a human being. Okay, I'm going to prostrate. So, and you're thinking of the qualities of the Buddha. You're thinking of the omniscience of the Buddha, the heart of the Buddha, the mind of the Buddha, the speech of the Buddha, the holy teachings, right? And as you're prostrating, at the same time that I offer my body and my speech and my mind to this enlightened being, you can also in your mind be prostrating to whatever acts of body, speech, and mind that you did in the past that forced the projection of someone who to you appears like Buddha-like. It's very cool. Because that wasn't you. That was somebody else. That was like you of the past who created the virtue to force the perception of the you of now. There is only one you of now, and that's the you of the now. There is no other you. And that you of now is relative to however you see your past. And it goes in and out of existence. It just went on to be like 65 times right there. It's just going like crazy. But it makes the power that you're planting in your mind when you bow down to a holy being and you also bow down to the virtue that you did before to force the perception of you seeing a holy being. That's an awesome emptiness meditation and planting virtue at the same time. Because not only, it's like the power of rejoicing is immense. Like you're rejoicing in your own virtue of the past. And you didn't even know what it was, but you're rejoicing in your goodness. That increases your goodness. You're rejoicing in the goodness of the Buddha. You're rejoicing in the goodness of your acts that made the Buddha. Because you made the Buddha. You can't see a Buddha until you make a Buddha. It's impossible. And then suddenly you have these ideas about Buddhas being in the world that did not come from punching people in the face. They did not come from cutting people off in line. That did not come from being selfish. To believe in the possibility of you transforming into a holy being. That is so off the charts insane virtue that prostrate to that. I don't know how many times I stood in front of my lamas and go, I have no idea how I made this. It makes no sense to me whatsoever how it is that I got here. I better darn well rejoice in whatever the heck it was. And then and when you do that, you're taking the onus off the object, you see? You're having a direct understanding that they are not self-existently a Buddha, and that gives them all the power. That will make them more powerful for you if you understand their emptiness. And it will also help you when they do stuff that doesn't make any sense. If your Lama does weird things that seem, what do you mean he's brushing his teeth? What do you mean he needs to use the toilet? Isn't he a Buddha? What do you mean he has a job?
I'm really confused about the projection
Yeah.
versus emptiness, because
Okay, that's nice. That's a great question. The projection, you could say, is like dependent origination. So you can't have one without the other. So so you can think of it like you're a projector. And you're projecting your experience. You're projecting the thing onto the object, right? Like you're projecting. I just pull this thing up and suddenly, boom, you're projecting something, right? Something inside your mind is going, boom, that's what that is. So you're projecting it out. And the emptiness is this simple fact that it doesn't have, well, this is like a zipper pouch, right? It doesn't have zipper pouch. It's empty of zipper pouch. You're projecting zipper pouch. And if it wasn't empty of zipper pouch, it would be projecting zipper pouch. It would be emanating zipper. It would be glowing with zipper pouch, and you wouldn't need to project. You would just look at it and.
so then I don't understand how the Buddha is not, because the Buddha is emanating. The Buddhas are something out there.
Well,
I can't reconcile that.
Well, no, it's not like things don't exist. Like I'm not. They're out there, but they're not out there the way we think they're out there.
Okay.
If a Buddha, let's just say, for instance, I was a Buddha, right? If I was a Buddha out there, then everyone would see me as a Buddha.
You're Buddha in my mind stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? And so, like I may happen to have the karma to see myself as a Buddha, and I would still know that I wasn't a Buddha out there. I would still know that I was projecting Buddha. Because where we're going in these classes and in your meditations is to a place that's deeper than all of this. That's deeper than any word can possibly explain. So it's like
if something's empty, then how can it not have a beginning and an end? Then it can't be empty.
Something that is big.
The quality of emptiness is something else.
Empty. This is tricky because there are different ways of thinking about emptiness, right? If you want to start talking Dzogchen and Rigpa, then there's a part of us that is like this emptiness that is empty and unchanging. That is just like this mind of pristine, oh God, I'm gonna get in big trouble here. But this isn't really the class for this, okay. how could you experience movement if you weren't completely still? If there wasn't a part of you that was completely still, how could you ever know you were moving? See, there's a part of us that never changes. And it's deep and it's veiled until it becomes unveiled, right? So, a Buddha actually perceives themselves there. And from there is arising all of experience, including themselves. So, they're out there in the sense of, yeah, they exist. There's a Buddha in my world, and this Buddha is not me. This Buddha, like, I'm not you, and you're not me. I don't know what you're thinking. I don't know what you're feeling. I don't know what you're going to do when you drive away, like, or else I would, right? But, so in that sense, you're out there. But the reason why we talk about this all the time is because the trouble we get into believing that things are out there totally, and that every way that I see you has nothing to do with me. If I believed that, right, because that's how it looks. This thing looks like a zipper pouch, and it seems like it's out there, and there's no zipper pouch inside my head projecting. So that's why there's no zipper pouch out there.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
Okay, so then what's the...
I get this is all a projection.
Okay, so what? Okay, so then what's the...
But then you were
missing
saying
link?
underneath all of that, there's a Buddha nature. There's a Buddha pristine awareness underneath all the crap,
Yeah,
mind stream
Yeah.
garbage that I have.
Yeah.
So to me, that would be self-existent.
It is.
That is self-existent.
and I'm in deep trouble now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. No, they're right.
Yeah.
There has to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
There has to be.
Yeah.
There, and see, this is very deep.
Yeah.
It's very deep, and it's deeper than most people can go.
Yeah.
And most people, all they need to know
Why
is
would you be in trouble for saying that?
because it's not mentioned in the ACI courses. They don't talk about it in the sutra.
Okay.
This is not, what I said was not an ACI sutra thing to say. And now I'm all over the world now. And my head's going to get split open. But no, right? It's like that.
Yeah.
Because at some point, your logic, it has to break down until you realize there's a part of every single being there is, including an ant, that has always been and always will be, and arising from out of, right? So that's otherwise, because if that wasn't there, how could you possibly strip everything away that wasn't a Buddha and then finally realize you're a Buddha? Because you couldn't. You happy now?
I am very happy. I was
Okay.
confused for a whole year.
Good.
A whole year.
A whole year. I've been coming for a whole year.
Yeah.
Today.
Well, this is good. That's a very healthy confusion. If you're going to be confused about something, these are the best things to be confused about. Oh, I'm serious. Like, and hopefully you'll be confused, just a little bit more, about things. Because how else are we going to strive to understand? And every time that we strive to understand these things, we're directly annihilating samsara, right? So now you see, we can sit here all night and talk about this. Like, so you can, okay, I've been confused for a whole year about this. Why? Right? Was it because someone didn't say something?
Yeah. it was something that I felt, but it wasn't being met by the teachings that I was hearing.
Right. And is that why? Is right now. This is where this is the line, right?
That's the karma then.
That's the karma. See, this is how you go. It couldn't have been something that wasn't said. That's the why I didn't get, right? I felt unsatisfied with something. I don't know what. I was confused. I couldn't quite get it for a year because I withheld information from somebody. I didn't give someone, right?
I didn't.
Yeah. And that's how you use every day as a path. That's how you use problems as a path. You just okay, because it's so easy to think, why did they withhold that from me? It's so easy to slip into believe because we've been studying Lojong and we've heard it over and over and over. There ain't no thing that doesn't exist like that, including the words of the teacher. So I could have not just said what I just said, and I almost didn't. So, yeah, and it's very good that you've been wrestling with that. I'm very happy. Yeah, awesome. Wow. See the deception as being the four bodies and emptiness as the matchless protector. See the deception as being the four bodies. So when they say the four bodies, which four bodies do you suppose they're talking about here?
Buddha.
The four bodies of the Buddha, right? But mainly here they're talking about the Dharmakaya. See the deception as being the four bodies. So what this means is, this is another way to use problems as a path. What if you don't see yourself with a Sambhogakaya? What if you don't see yourself as an emanation body? What if you don't see yourself as an omniscient mind? Why? Why don't you? What's missing? What's gonna give you that projection? What's deceptive about that? What's deceptive about those four bodies? Are those four bodies deceptive? Is a Nirmanakaya a liar?
I'm thinking that it's like self-existent.
Yeah, it's always the same thing, right? So it's like, if you see yourself having a normal human body, and you're not enlightened, and you believe that that's self-existent, can't be. It's not self-existent. So these things that you're looking at could be the body of a Buddha. If you had the right karma. If you had the right virtue in place, what you would see is the body of the Buddha. So when the reason why they say an emptiness as a matchless protector is because the Dharmakaya body of the Buddha is the emptiness of the Buddha, which makes it possible for all of the other bodies to exist. So you've got your paradise body, your Sambhogakaya, the foxy, sexy, tantric deity kind of body that's hanging out, all glowing with light, with like long locks and looking like really fine. Pardon? Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, you got that body, and then you're also spontaneously emanating, countless beings, being whatever it is that they need. And you also have this omniscience going on. So the omniscience isn't the Dharmakaya. The Dharmakaya is the emptiness of all those three things, which makes all those three things possible. So it's hard, I think, to think of the Dharmakaya or as any of these things as bodies. So that I like to think of them as parts. They're just an aspect, right? So the Dharmakaya is the aspect of the Buddha that is its lack of self-nature. And because of that, emptiness is your masterless protector. Because of that, because your body's empty, just like everything else, it can change. The perception of it can change. And you can make it into something else. By planting the right seeds.
So by the word deception, I'm just trying to...
It's a confusing line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See the deception as being the four bodies. Can you make it English?
Yeah. So see the deception, meaning see that your mind is deceived if you believe that your body is self-existent.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And your understanding of emptiness will protect you from all suffering. And that, my dears, is the end of class 4.
Wow.
Heavy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Yeah. It is confusing.
Don't think about it too much.
Yeah. I mean, really, it's, we talk about a lot of things, but it's only because it's only confusing because there's so much going on in our life and really comes down to a few simple things that we need to apply to everything. And that is because the mind just pulls away and it pulls away. It needs to get reminded and reminded and reminded.
When you talk about, you've often said, if you see yourself doing something, when you see yourself doing something, you use that phrase a lot.
Yeah.
So could it be that you could do things and not see yourself in a particular way, and therefore you don't collect the karma?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean,
And then,
definitely. Your perception of how it is that you see yourself doing something is definitely, and it's going to be different than someone else sees you doing something.
okay.
Yeah. It's like, that's one of the trickiest questions of the universe. What did Hitler think he was doing? Right? What, no one knows the karma that Hitler accrued for doing that other than the Buddha. And possibly him. I don't know. But, so, it's like, that's a very good point, and that's how we, if that can be true for us, then we shouldn't judge when we see people do things that appear, But we still have to act on it if it does appear. Like someone needs some help. Good? Yeah? Everyone happy? Most people say she's not feeling so good. You not feeling good? You're good? Okay. Well, let's dedicate. Yulia, lead us onward.
Yes.
And
Hopefully.
I've been looking at this. I've been having an ignorant desire for this thing all class. I got to get to it.
I know. I was offering this to my mom because I was like, please take it because I keep thinking about it. Sashi
Buki Juxing Meito Tram Rabling Shi Niende Gen Padi Sangye Shindu Mi Te Uwa Gi Drokunanda Shingma Chuparsho Idam Guru Ratnamanda
I don't know.
Gewa.
I know, but I don't remember the music line.
Oh, that's okay. Gewa di kewokun Sunam yeshe zog zog sheng Sunam yeshe lejung wei Nampar kuni sopam so. So I just want to say one thing before we leave, for Tarnjit's sake and everyone else's sake. The reason why that the question that you asked, and the reason why it doesn't get talked about, is because it is so dangerous to think that we're self-existent, and it's so dangerous. It has caused so much suffering. It is the cause of samsara, and that place that we talked about earlier, that's far from reach. And the only way to reach that place is to really, really embrace the fact that or that the me I think I am is not something, because that is not the me I think I am that I was talking about, right? Like, as Lemon Maru says, me, right, or you say your name to yourself will not become enlightened. Right? You say your name to yourself will not, and so it's very, very important. That's why it's so dangerous, because even when you're in meditation and you're getting, like, your focus is getting really, really strong and bright, and it becomes blissful, and it's very dangerous to relate to that bliss as the real me, because there's another one below that. There's another one deeper that's making the bliss that's me arise. And if we get stuck thinking that I'm self-existent there, at that point, at that blissful point, so much danger there. That's like the cause right there of thinking that blissful me that's in deep meditation, that is experiencing no mental affliction, thinking that is the self-existent me is a direct cause for being born into a God realm and living for 1,000 years and then dying and going to hell. Yeah. So I just need to say that. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, that was fun.